Hey, what's up everybody, Blades here to have for you guys another video of Persona 5X. Inside today's video guys, we're going to be going ahead and going over the girl, the myth, the legend herself, Chord. Now this is going to be as usual a unit review here, which we're going to be going over some brief talk about the character, the awarenesses, the dupe amount that I actually think you guys should really strive for, skill explanations, weapons if it's worth it, and then of course showing off her animation. So if you guys are interested in anything like this, be sure to sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. And as always, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really does help me out quite a lot here. And if I can, today should be the double upload day. If not today, we're going to try and at least reach it for tomorrow, because I do have a tier list video I want to get out for you guys very, very soon. So look forward to that. But all right, so we are at the girl who changed P5X entirely. Now, as many of you guys know, we've had a lot of characters that were fairly balanced or fairly decent at the time, but this is where everything heavily shifted. This character Chord being the first support that was absolutely insane into this game that actually arrived, kind of caught a lot of people off guard. We looked at her kit and we knew it was good, but we didn't really know how OP it really was until we got our hands on the character ourselves. She pretty much was the best thing you could never have. She could buff her at least ally that she wanted. She was able to easily buff herself, have highlights just immediately be forced on the field, meaning multiple ultimates, and then give you a damage bonus as well. This character also brought in the gimmick of increasing our highlight and how fast we can get it as well with that too. So there was a lot of things that were absolutely insane for this character. She just had a lot in her kit. And even to this day, she's still absolutely amazing and still somewhat meta. She's slowly moving up out of there, but at the same time, she's definitely worth the investment. So with this character, there really wasn't any real problems with it. In fact, she was still the good character that she is today, and she has a lot in her kit. So let's go ahead and just go straight over. Now, as I did say, this is a character that I ended up maxing out. This is one of the few characters that is really, really good to do so. And it all starts off with her first passive, or at least her A0 per se. Inside of her A0, pretty much what you will be able to do is one of her skills called at least Finale Range Unleash, or yeah, Finale Range Unleash here. It now has a 1-turn cooldown. With this in mind here, by utilizing this, you're actually able to force at least one of your people in order to get at least their highlight that turn. When you force this to happen, it really just allows you just to use your highlight as much as possible, which is the skill 3, and that's really good. It's not only her who can utilize her highlight by using the skill 3, but it's anyone she decides to just immediately choose, which was very huge. But alongside of this, with this, you were also getting a 20% attack buff that was able to stack twice, making it a 40% attack buff that was just there. It was absolutely amazing. You got this every 3 turns, and seeing that you now have a easy 40% attack buff and then an easy just highlight push, it just made her insanely good. Paired with at least some of her passive here that was also included with this, she was not only able to do that, but increase your attack even further by 20% if you are at least a loyal listener, which is one of the things she can make with her skill 2, at least make an ally with her skill 2 have, and it pretty much just buffs that ally, which you usually want to give that to a DPS. Now the other side of this, of course, with what she ended up having here, was the fact that she could actually heal. Yes, another thing that was crazy about this character was with her second actual passive being Sweet Peeking, she was able to heal your team with, or at least heal your character with the lowest HP. It really made her insanely good, and this was all within the A0 category. You did not need any dupes for this or anything of that nature. She was just that good at the start. Now, if you guys wanted to go ahead and invest into dupes here, the highest I would say, first of all, if you're whaling, of course, A6. That even if you just decided to, let's say you had a ton of time to save up, I would advise her A6 is really, really good. Though with recent findings that at least Global might be on a different schedule than TW and KR, the most I could say people to go for is going to be that A1. Now, the reason that you want to go for this is because along with at least the loyal listener buff that you usually have to apply with skill 2, you immediately place that buff on an ally, and then if they're part of the single target or AoE role, you then are able to get a 15% crit buff as well on that same ally. So pretty much you were just immediately proccing that buff and immediately giving your ally that has that said buff a 15% crit rate boost, which was revolutionary for a lot of people. This without a doubt made her really insane, really good, and just pairing it with the weapon later on, which we'll go about as well, really showed you how busted she truly can be. Now, since we went over at least her awarenesses here in that brief discussion, let's go ahead and take a look into her actual kit. Now, with her actual kit, I would like to say this is stinking amazing. Her skills that you're really going to be looking at is going to be, of course, her highlight, her skill 2, and her skill 3. The skill 1 isn't really used too often here. Mainly, you just deal some additional damage. If there is a buff on at least one of your teammates, aka the loyal listener buff, you will be getting that additional damage, which is nice, but you really don't pay attention to much of this here. The ones that are going to be your main go-to is going to be the skill 3 being the first priority, skill 2 being the second, and then the combat skills being the third. Reason why I say skill 3 is because skill 3 is the one that makes the world go round. When of course you're utilizing this here, it pretty much forces your ally to use their special move or their highlights here immediately. You're usually going to be getting yourself a 78.1% buff. I currently have mine fully duped out, so you can see she's at 90%, but you get your at least actual ally here, whoever you decide to use with this, a 78.1% damage buff on their highlight. Alongside of this here, it does not count as their highlight bar. So let's say you already have your highlight bar, right? You can use an ultimate, but you decide to use skill 3 on at least Chord first, or use it on the character first, right? Well, if Chord decided to go ahead and proc that highlight with her skill 3, you will still have that highlight bar once you're done with that ultimate again. So technically you can force off 2 whole highlights in general, meaning 2 whole ultimates. It was insane to see that you can actually do that itself. It was really cool. A lot of people was like in shock about it, and it got even more busted when you actually had her higher dupe. Now, with the other at least part that I was explaining earlier, this one's going to give you a huge attack buff, which usually should be a 24% attack buff, and it will scale up to 976% attack for 3 whole turns. The same thing is the one I have here, but since of course she's duped, it's 1136, in which lasts for 3 whole turns. This is just going to make the person who you're buffing here deal some crazy damage in the long run, so it's really good to actually have this as well. Then lastly, being her combat skill here, this is the one that I was telling you. You get yourself an amazing damage bonus to all allies, being at least her ultimate specifically, which is going to be 45.5%. I have her at least duped up, so she's 52.9% here. But for these 4 actions, you're going to get a damage bonus of that 45.5% here, while also allowing you to get a 10% highlight energy recovery based on after the fact of at least your allies acting. So it's gonna help you build up that highlight even quicker, while also giving you a nice damage boost, which is absolutely amazing that she can do this. There's no other character that can do this until recently, which is Yukari, who is more of a at least P3 version of the character itself. This is probably the only other character who can really go about this here. So I mean, like, it's good to see that we're getting characters that are going to start being part of her caliber. But now that we went over this here, let's go ahead and look at least the weapon and is it worth it. Now, one of the few things I will say, this character you want to max invest in. She's absolutely amazing to do so. She universally goes in pretty much every last team, and by getting her weapon, it just makes it even more busted. Sure, you can deal with the 4-star weapon, which I dealt with for a little bit, or at least started to deal with for a little bit before I went for her 5-star weapon here. It's pretty darn decent. It gives you an attack buff up to 24% attack, while also helping out her finale release, or at least her finale range unleash, and actually upgrades Chord's attack as well, which is pretty decent. But at the end of the day, Chord herself doesn't need to increase her attack like that. Yes, it is helping out the buff that she gives off, but you don't really need the attack like that from the 4-star weapon. So the 5-star weapon is more of the one you want to go for. Now, granted, if you want to use the 4-star weapon, you very well can, but I would suggest getting this 5-star. Reasoning for this is not only because it has a higher attack rate, which is at 30% instead of 24%, but you're actually getting immediately highlight energy. If you have it max duped like I do, it's at 76% highlight energy, meaning you start the battle with pretty much having your ultimate immediately. Or if you just don't have the weapon duped at all, you start with 40% of your highlight energy, meaning you still will have majority of your ultimate bar ready off bat. This is already a huge plus just to have that 5-star weapon. And then of course, if you do have a loyal listener, you're also giving him a even more so of an attack buff, meaning your DPS that you're going to be buffing anyways is going to deal even more damage. This is insane. And it gets even crazier because the more you actually activate your other ultimates on your team, the attack of the ally with loyal listener then will increase by 5 extra percent, or 9.4% if you max it out, for 3 whole stacks. So you're pretty much just making your DPS the most busted thing around, and Chord, without a doubt, seeing that she can really utilize the highlights that she can force, utilize your team's highlights in general, help out within the attack while healing. This revolutionized her insane amount and made her pretty much the top dog supporter for a very long time, and somewhat to a degree still a top dog supporter out here. So when it comes down to getting that weapon, I would highly suggest you guys to get it. It's definitely worth it. If you want to dupe her out and dupe out the weapon, both of them are insanely worth it. Just, it is up to you guys. If you want to get the 4-star weapon, by all means, do that as well. Both are all perfect. But now that we went over the weaponry here, we're gonna go ahead and show off at least the character's animation and how she performed. Now to this day, she still performs really, really well. In fact, she's insanely good. Just the only issue is now we're starting to kind of drift away from utilizing some of these characters, which there's no real problem in. In fact, there's actually a lot of good things regarding this, because at least if we're able to at least drift away from this character, the game doesn't become so centered around her, and it doesn't feel like if I don't have this character, I will get nowhere. That was kind of a thing that a lot of people didn't enjoy, but let's be honest, everyone loves Chord, so even with that in mind, no one really had a problem with it. But for Chord herself, as you can see, we started with our highlight due to at least the amount that she built up, and if you use her highlight, it looks something like this. So she kind of rocks out, jams out, and it gives us a nice little buff here. And then if we go ahead and I just want to go ahead and skip this here, make sure everyone can see, we can actually do this immediately first round. Now, normally you would end up doing this on your second round. So usually you won't have this immediately, but let's say you have A6, your first round, you can immediately force anyone you want to use their ultimate. You don't have to have the highlight bar or anything. As you saw, we just used our highlight, so we shouldn't have another one. Well, thankfully to using that skill 3, she's able to force it, and you can immediately use any highlight you want who's going to deal some major damage later on, seeing that she also gives them a crazy boost. So go ahead and continue here and actually cycle on back around, which they're going to make us cycle back around here. We also got our ultimate once again, seeing she does charge highlights, as I said beforehand, based on everything that we're doing. But with this in mind, she's also able to do something like this, being the skill 2. Now the skill 2 is the one that gives you the loyal listener buff, which makes it so they can do more damage. Looks something like this, where you give them a little bit of buff here, and you see a bunch of little pop type style looking things here, and a ton of different little accents and rockish style type deal. It's one of the few characters I genuinely do like the aesthetics of, just because, hey, I love music. I love at least my music profession, and this is definitely a character that definitely made me enjoy her quite a lot. So we go ahead and check out her last skill. It looks something similar to this, and this is going to be the damage dealing one. Since we do have a loyal listener on the field, being our summer closer, she actually gets an additional hit. So normally it would just look like this, where she just gets that one hit, but due to us having a loyal listener, it did an additional hit there as well. And once again, since we built up that highlight, we're able to utilize our highlight again whenever she's in this team. So it's really, really fun to actually utilize this character, especially if you do have her out. If you want the best time ever, she's definitely a good investment in the long run. But that's all I really have to say for this character. She's still crazy insane. She's still really, really good for a lot of people to go ahead and invest in. So I feel like a lot of you guys, when it comes down to this unit review, already know my answer. Is she still good? Absolutely. And she still will be for a very, very long time. But for now, thank you guys for watching, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Peace out.